you can have the marriage of your dreams and be happy with your spouse. In this video, we're gonna share with you the secrets to a happy marriage. We have been happily married for 30 years. I'm Dr. Elias Moitinho.
And I'm Dr. Denise Moitinho. We are professors and authors. And in this channel, we give you tips and life skills to help you grow in your life. We invite you to subscribe.
Have a Christ-centered marriage.
You know, everyone has a worldview. And what is it? What is a worldview? Actually, it is the lenses by which you see the world. You interpret life. You interpret your own relationships. It's your philosophy of life in a way. It's nothing original. It's actually something that you gain as you live. I mean, you get your worldview from your family, from your friends, from your teachers, from the things you watch on TV. So as you grow, that worldview is developed, right?
Yes, and we believe that marriage needs to be built on a solid Christian worldview. That's a Christ-centered marriage. And we are Christians, so we seek to practice our Christian faith, the teachings of Jesus. And so by doing that, we are building a Christian marriage, and we share the agape love with one another.
So this Christ-centered marriage means that we are living out those teachings of Jesus Christ in our marriage, in our life, the ways we love each other and we relate to one another.
Yes, and we are not perfect.
No, not at all.
So we make mistakes, but we are trying to use this Christian worldview to guide us as husband and wife.
Honor your lifelong commitment.
When you got married, you made a declaration that your spouse was going to be number one in your life. And this commitment is based on Genesis 2:24. A man will leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh.
And you gave that commitment before witnesses. There were people at your wedding who saw you and heard you saying those words, and you even used a ring as a symbol of that commitment.
Maybe you recited the vows from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. That was a commitment that you made.
Yes, and there's something interesting that I read in the Pew Research Center that says that married adults have higher levels of relationship satisfaction and trust than those living with an unmarried partner. So because there is that commitment, it's a high level of commitment.
Yes, in marriage there is that commitment. So we encourage you to honor your commitment that you made to your spouse, to be number one in your life. Yes, how do you honor that? By being emotionally and physically faithful to your spouse. Create a shared vision.
In marriage, you come together with your spouse to create this new home, this new world, and the two of you are connected in a special way in this journey. Now, you need to decide what type of marriage you want to have and what you want to accomplish together as a couple.
Yes, so discussing expectations is so important, because you come into the marriage with expectations. Some of them may be unrealistic, but the best way to create this shared vision is to begin to talk about those expectations, right?
Yes, totally. So coming together, agreeing, and choosing a route to go together.
Yeah, look into the future, planning this bright future together. Watch our videos here on the playlist Amazing Marriage. We have so many videos for married couples. And plus, scriptures say, will two walk together unless they agree?
Have a positive and effective communication with your spouse.
Effective communication is essential for marriage. Several years ago, a famous marriage researcher, John Gottman, discovered several destructive patterns of communication that are predictors to divorce. And they include criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Criticism is verbally attacking your spouse's personality or character. Contempt is using insults or abusive language. Defensiveness is acting as a victim and then blaming your spouse. And stonewalling is withdrawing from the relationship, maybe leaving the room. And so those negative patterns of interaction are very detrimental to your marriage.
And that's why you need to encourage your spouse. This will lead to a stronger marriage, to a greater bonding. And I love that passage in Proverbs 15:1. It says, "A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." Let's use our words really wisely.
Yes, because we can build each other up, as Ephesians 4:29 says, that let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words will be an encouragement to your spouse. Focus on multidimensional intimacy.
So what does it mean? It means that there is an emotional intimacy, a connection of the hearts. There is an intellectual intimacy, which is a connection of the minds, and a connection of the bodies, which is the physical intimacy. And another important component is the spiritual intimacy, the connection of the souls, the idea of being soul mates, one flesh relationship.
Yes, and that's what we hear when we go to weddings. The two shall become one flesh. Again, that verse in Genesis 2:24, which refers to the most intimate union of a man and a woman, a husband and a wife. And we have mentioned, even in our book, The Dream Home, How to Create an Intimate Christian Marriage, we talk about the fact that emotional intimacy precedes the physical intimacy.
So you create intimacy by how you show love to your spouse during the day, how you connect emotionally with your spouse during the day, intellectually, spiritually. All those are very important for physical intimacy to happen. Apologize sincerely and forgive as needed.
No one is perfect. We are not perfect, so we disappoint and we hurt each other. And because you and your spouse are not perfect, you're gonna hurt each other. And when that happens, it's important for you to apologize. If you are the one who hurt your spouse's feelings, apologize from the heart, because otherwise resentment and bitterness can grow and will create a wall, a disconnect between you and your spouse.
Yes, and sometimes we are prideful. We have pride in our hearts and selfishness, and we need to put those things aside and be courageous to say, "I'm sorry, I was wrong."
And I know it's hard to say those words. Even for me, it's hard to say, "I'm sorry." But I know I have to say that, because then we can, when we apologize and then we receive forgiveness, then the relationship is restored, because forgiveness is the catalyst that can restore relationships, right?
Yes, and create that intimacy that you really want in your marriage.
Manage conflict wisely.
Unfortunately, couples sometimes allow frustrations and anger to take control over their emotions and affect the relationship in a negative way and escalate into a fight.
Oh yeah, and then they get into this emotional flooding when the emotions take over and it's hard to focus and be rational. That's why researchers and marriage counselors recommend that you do the self-soothing. That means take a time out to cool off, to calm down, and then you come back and you and your spouse will need to have a strategy, a conflict resolution model, a way to tackle that conflict. And so we recommend that. And even in our book, again, we have a chapter on dealing with conflict, and we talk about strategies that you can take to calm down, de-escalate the conflict, and then steps you can use to address that conflict, yes. Right?
It's very important that you learn how to deal with conflict and master the steps that you need to take to solve the conflict without hurting each other's feelings. Avoid creating a child-centered marriage.
Children are a blessing from the Lord. We have two wonderful children. They are 23 and 20 years old. Wow, I can't believe that. Yes, and so a lot of couples focus on raising their children, which is a big responsibility that couples have. But in the process, they may create this child-centered marriage. That's what researchers call when parents focus more on the children than on the marital relationship.
And you know, to raise your children, you will have to devote a lot of time, but you also need to have time for your relationship, time to go out together, time to enjoy their company, and so you need to really balance that. Otherwise, all your energy, money, and time just goes to your child, which is not a bad thing, but it is when you're sacrificing your relationship with your spouse.
So it's not sacrificing the relationship, it's making the husband and wife relationship a priority, and then you can focus wisely on raising the children, right?
Yes, I believe it's a wise thing to do.
Manage your finances wisely.
That's very important because research shows that the higher the frequency of arguments about money, the higher the likelihood that a couple will get a divorce, and that's not the goal.
No, the couple really needs to have a plan. And for example, we have learned from Dave Ramsey, we have learned from Crown Financial Ministries, and we have used several of their strategies, such as creating a budget, and that has helped us a lot. And we believe in spending money wisely, saving money consistently, and investing prudently.
Yes, and that's very important that both are in agreement when it comes to finances. Become an active team player in your marriage.
The reality is that marriage is a busy life. Think about it. You keep up with the house, manage the finances, take care of the kids, go to work. It takes a lot of energy, and nowadays a lot of women work outside the home, and maybe you and your wife both work outside the home, and when you get home you are tired, and if you have kids you still have to take care of the kids, prepare dinner. You know how it is. It's busy, right?
It is very busy. Everything needs to be coordinated so that the machine does not break.
So it's essential that you become an active team member. Check with your spouse. Honey, how can I help you? How may I help you? Offer help, right?
Yeah, and that can be interesting because I may say, oh, I need you to wash the dishes for me today.
Yes, and if washing the dishes will bless your spouse, will help that evening go smoothly, then wash the dishes. Show agape love to your spouse.
This is the highest type of love. It is not self-centered and not self-focused either. On the contrary, it is focused on the other person. And that's why it is a difficult type of love to have, because it is sacrificial.
It is, in focusing on another person means that we are going to be thinking, okay, how can I motivate my spouse? How can I bless my spouse? How can I make a positive difference in my spouse's life? Because that's why people got married. That's why we got married, right? Because of loving one another. And you got married because you loved your spouse.
Encourage and comfort your spouse.
Yes, there will be times when your spouse will have stressful days, and your spouse will get home feeling tired, feeling sad, sometimes feeling hurt. And you need to be there for your spouse. From an attachment theory perspective, you become a safe haven for your spouse. You become that place, that person that provides encouragement and comfort to your spouse.
This is a real expression of agape love. If you like this video, please click on like, share with your friends, and be sure to subscribe. We'll see you in our next video.